1944. Hopes rise for the future, prayers for loved ones now in battle. As the clock strikes the knell of the old year, a digger's thoughts may well turn back the years for us to scenes of deepest import. 19 years ago, Japan was Australia's ally. Why is she now Australia's bitter foe? What sort of men are behind her present campaign of pillage and conquest? At the time Cook arrived in Australia, Japan was an utterly unwesternized country. For 1400 years, her people had lived in their distant islands, isolated from the outside world. The strongest influence in their lives was superstition, which had bound them hand and foot over the centuries. Contact with the Western world gave her an opportunity for enlightenment, but her natural arrogance led to an intense drive for power. That was the beginning. Her dream of expansion had started. Behind the crumbling walls of China, she perceived a divided people. She decided with her 105 million population to try and conquer China's 400 million. Her men had to be born and trained for war. From the early smattering that the Japanese gained of Western science, they had already advanced much. People said they were great imitators. The fact was they were developing powerful industries, including huge steel mills and armament factories. They were learning to become self-sufficient. Rigorous sea training based on the British pattern and a more grueling army training than even the Germans practiced gave her fighting forces efficiency and stamina. But they made the mistake of thinking they were supermen. Their royal house, they claimed, had reigned for 124 generations in a direct line. Their emperor they looked on as a god. Another heir was born to the throne, and he or his successors were foreseen as one day to rule the world, lords of the new order. They presumed not only to look down on the Western peoples, but on their neighbors, the Chinese, the Malayans, the Filipinos, the Burmese, and the Javanese. They needed the products of those countries, and they saw in the 300 million inhabitants slave labor that could help to make Japan supreme. The military planned. The diplomats, behind their mask-like faces, tried to deceive the world. How nearly they succeeded. In 1932, Japan struck at China, finishing her make-believe good friendship. That was the year Australians opened the Sydney Harbour Bridge. The year Peter Pan won the Melbourne Cup. In 1933, Japan moved forward again. In 1934, Admiral Togo died. Under his dynamic leadership, Japan had become a first-class naval power. That was the year of the Centenary Air Race, when Scott and Black flew the Comet to Australia. In 1935, the Emperor reviewed his ever-growing armed forces. Japanese wool buyers in Australia were acquiring the wool to clothe them. That was Mouabou's Melbourne Cup year. In 1936, more of China fell. Still, Australia went on her own way. The gift destroyers from Britain lay in Sydney Harbour, idle. In 1937, the Panay was sunk. Listen to the double-faced Japanese apology.
The Japanese government and people wish to express their sincerest and profoundest regrets to the American government and people on account of this deplorable incident.
In 1938, Hankow fell, but Australia continued shipping her scrap iron to Nippon. While Australia saw only a world of peace, Japan had conquered the whole of the Chinese coastline. Believe it or not, the Japanese minister to Australia got away with it. Japanese troops still lived war. In America, Japanese Minister Kurusu, while working under diplomatic privilege, acted the Judas.
Gentlemen, you all know how difficult my mission is, but I'll do all I can to make it a successful one for the sake of two countries, Japan and the United States.
Even as he spoke, Japanese forces struck their paralyzing blow.
But I'll do all I can to make it a successful one for the sake of Japan and the United States.
Another victim of air attack was Britain's latest battleship, Prince of Wales. Even Singapore crumbled before the cream of Nippon's forces. At last, Australia awakened to her extreme peril. She was almost defenseless, and England could not help. Darwin and Port Moresby took their punishment, but they still held fast. The Allies' sheet anchor in the Pacific was the United States fleet. The names of Midway and Coral Sea will live in the fighting annals of all free peoples. Its invaluable aircraft carriers came in for devastating attacks by the enemy. It was only the magnificent fighting spirit of Uncle Sam's men that won the day. After 2 years of heartbreaking effort, the Navy, Air Force and Army had driven the Japanese from most of the Solomons and New Guinea, thus placing Australia out of immediate danger. But in the meantime, the Japanese dream of conquest remains unabated. While they possess their present gains, they grow more powerful on the oil of the Indies, the rubber of Malaya, the crops of Indochina. Here are the 300 million potential slaves. America recently struck at Wake and at the Gilberts. More blows are to follow. But 5 million fanatical Japanese are prepared to die, holding their gains as others have done before them. In Europe, the blueprint of victory is complete, and 1944 will, we hope, see it implemented. But in the Pacific, Japan's bestial soldiers still spread terror amongst those they have conquered. In Australia, New Year has come. Japan's purposes are clear. What are our plans for 1944? To strive for victory through our will to work, through our belief in God, victory through our faith in Australia's future, that each little one who follows us may still call this land my country.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt dream of world peace